The Standing in Fire podcast is being recorded live on a Dell OptiPlex computer. That's right, Dell OptiPlex. You can find your Dell OptiPlex computer at the local abandoned business park near you.
Turtle made it to the water.
You're listening to Standing in Fire. Welcome, everybody, to the one and only Standing in Fire podcast. My name is Boom, and I gotta tell you, my Dell OptiPlex is hanging in there like a champ. It is getting... I'm gonna blame the problems I'm having right now, not on Dell OptiPlex. My problems currently, I think, are with Discord. That's just what I'm gonna say. I think the reason it's not working is I think I probably have the wrong sound setting somewhere in Discord, and it's messing this whole shindig up, and it's making Tess crazy. Well, welcome everybody. I am Boom, as I said, and I am joined as always by Tess and Militus, and tonight we have Fragile with us. Now, Fragile's special because he is, I think, the very first listener.
Who?
Fragile.
I don't know anybody named Fragile.
Who?
I only know someone named Fragile.
Fragile.
I don't know about that.
Welcome, Fragile. Thank you so much for coming on. We wanted to get you on. You're like one of the original supporters of the show. We appreciate you coming on, and you were, here we are. We're a brand new podcast, and when you launch a brand new podcast, you want somebody to pay attention to you. And we started it up, and there's Fragile, and he comes on, and he was so nice and so awesome.
Literally the first chat
wonderful
comment ever.
Yeah.
Well, it was all the nudes you guys sent me that helped.
Yeah, exactly.
Send nudes.
Yeah, we're always up for that. That's just a thing we do.
But
well,
do they really count as nudes if they're just naked archive? I guess they still count as.
Hey,
I think they still count.
Hey, what's under that archive kilt? It's the real deal. It's the real deal,
I
guys.
shouldn't have said anything. Oh God.
It's the real deal. You guys are gonna have me going. Well, you know what I did is I decided I wanted to play some music, and I played Getting Soft with that was the Getting Soft thing. I don't want to get soft with anybody.
OptiPlex is gonna have your ass by the end of this podcast.
Here we go. Right? Here we go. So that was not on the OptiPlex. That was not on the OptiPlex. Okay. So I haven't done this in a while, but what I wanted to do is I created a top 10 list. And I do this from time to time, and when I was thinking of what should I do a top 10 list, what is the thing I think everybody would most like to know going into the Pantheon expansion, or the Pantheon game, sorry. And I said, a lot of people are playing Gnome. And
the Gnome is so interesting because it goes against like what you think of a fantasy gnome.
Right,
yeah,
right. Gnomes are amazing. And so as I was thinking of this, and I was like, gnomes, it's all about gnomes. I said, what about some names for gnomes? Because you got to name your gnome. So this is all about naming your gnome.
Name the gnome?
Name the gnome. So here we go.
Name the gnome now.
I'm going to give you guys. So here we go. This is a top 10. These are some gnome names that I came up with. All right, here we go. So the first gnome name, you're wanting to punch it in? Vietnam. Vietnam.
Okay, I can get behind Vietnam.
7.
All right.
We're
seven,
young
that's
enough.
good.
I think that doesn't.
I give it 6 goats.
Yes.
It's a 6
Are having more goats good or bad?
I don't know.
The more goats you get,
For
the worse.
Boom or for like the actual public?
The higher the goat total, the lower you are on my my pecking list, my pecking order. Yeah.
Sorry. By the way, I just want to throw this out. We're not going to tell Boomy, but yeah, chat. If you've got some good known names, we'll throw them into some also rans at the end of the list.
They're already coming with some better. Yeah, they've got some better ones. So this one, you have to have two names more than likely, a first and last name. So this one is Stand in Your Garden. First name Standin, second name Your Garden.
Nah.
That's a gnome name, right? He's standing in your garden.
No.
You guys are a tough crowd. All right. How about no balls, but spelled with a G? G-N-O.
No, G-N-O.
G-N-O balls.
Gnome balls. Yeah.
No.
Like
no.
No.
This.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so far I'm disappointed in you guys because this list killed with the middle school crowd. All right, so I'm a little upset. All right.
I'm sorry, Puddin'.
All right, here we go. This one's another one. This is for all you math fans out there. Polynomial.
Okay, I love that one.
That one gets.
That gets like an 8.5 for me.
All right. Polynomial. Yeah. There we go.
Polynomial.
Right. I'm gonna give that one a solid 8.
How about just G-Night? Get it?
No.
Gnome. G-Night. Good night.
It's not bad.
Night.
That's not bad.
Okay. It's just night.
I don't get it.
Okay. How about Gnomageddon?
Good one.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
that's pretty
decent.
fair.
That works. Yeah.
And I like this one because everybody tonight on the podcast is showing me this, and that is No Mercy.
No Mercy.
No Mercy.
That's cute. That gets a 10. 10.
All right.
Ding 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 ding.
How about this one? Ankle Biter.
That will get you some goats, my friend.
No, I think that's adorable.
You could just have you could just be an ankle biter, right? This one was.
I have a question,
yes. Go ahead.
Wait. I have a question. So I haven't seen like are gnomes in Pantheon going to be a short class?
Yes, they are.
They are. Okay.
Tiny, like pixels,
but not
just mere pixels.
Short, like cool short.
Gnome Schmome.
No.
There you go. G-N-O-M-E. Schmome. Gnome Schmome. No. How about Gnomegasm?
Wait, you broke up.
I like it.
Say it again.
A Gnomegasm.
Oh.
No gasm.
That gets you.
All right.
All
right. I'm way beyond 10, but I'm just gonna. I mean, this just isn't going well for me, but that's okay. I'm gonna give you the last one. How about Giggle Stick?
No.
It's a good gnome name. Just Giggle Stick.
No. I have some also rants from chat though. Are you ready?
Yeah, toss them. Giggle Stick.
Okay, hold on. Before you get to the chat, Giggle Water.
Giggle Water?
No.
Giggle Water. Chat.
Nomeo
and Julia? Yeah, there you go.
That's cute.
Giggle Water is what they used to call alcohol back in like the 20s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's a couple also rants from chat.
Yes.
This is from Siri the Casual.
Yeah, right.
No Malone.
Yeah, I love it when the audience just shows me up like that. It's awesome. That was good. That's a good one.
I hope we didn't spend too much time on
this one is from. Oh, okay. Hold on. I've got one from. I'm gonna screw this up, but that's what I do. So Draconum, like num Drac. So I'm gonna call him Num Drac from now on.
Sure.
Gnome Ragrets.
I love it.
Oh, I like that. I love that too. Great.
I love it.
Pantheon Plus has Nomadamine.
All right, chat.
And one more. Last one from Zoltar, Dr. Gnome.
Zoltar.
Dr. Gnome.
I like that one. Yeah.
You guys.
Dr. Gnome.
Dr. Gnome.
You guys are way more awesome at this than I am, but that's okay. There we go. It was the top 10 gnome names. We'll come up with some names for some other classes and races.
I got to say this about chat. I mean, chat brought it down.
They did. They brought it down. There
were a lot, and I
hard.
didn't want to like take up too much time, so I didn't read all of the amazing ones. I
know. There were so many. It was just kind of going. It was just doing that thing where the chat's going. The chat went wild. Mm-hmm. Well, Tess, before we get into talking with Fragile here, can you tell everybody how they can get a hold of us?
Sure. So the first thing, the first way you can get in touch with us, there you go, get it, boy. You can visit our website at stopstandingandfire.com. You can email us at stopstandingandfire@gmail.com. You can tweet us. You can reach out to us at a show at SIF Podcast, at Boom at Boom Tap Live, Militus at Old Militus, or me, Tess, at not at my name is Jeff, but at Debuff This.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that was an Anchorman moment because you're just like, she'll read anything on the teleprompter. It doesn't matter. We should just put some things now on the teleprompter. She'll just read anything on the teleprompter.
I can put some naughty things.
Yeah.
I've done that before. They have put in the show notes, and I'm just like, at Poop Chef, no. Me at Debuff This. You can also call or text us at 702-625-1337.
That spells leads. Hell yeah.
All right. Thank you, Coltrane, for bringing us home. Well, we have some phone calls and texts, but I'm going to change things up a little bit. What I want to do is let's get started talking to Fragile here, and then we'll get into those phone calls and texts. We're going to bring them around.
Fragile.
Okay, sorry. So Fragile, again, we thank you so much for being on the show. We know that, like I said, early on, here you are, shining star in the community, made us already feel welcome when we were starting this podcast off, switching over from the World of Warcraft where everybody was mean to us, and then here you are. So it was awesome.
Mean.
Yeah.
One person was like, who's that little boy talking to those grown men?
Oh my goodness.
What?
Oh my goodness. That
you
is
didn't
so
send him the nudes that you sent me, obviously.
Yeah, no.
Not to say all community members
no,
are bad. There's some really nice people, but
there is, yes.
There are also some not so nice people.
Yes, that's very, very true. Well, Fragile, tell us about yourself. Like, what's going on with you, and how are you involved in Pantheon and looking forward to it, and all of those kinds of things? Like, give us some lowdown here.
Yeah, so I originally played EQ back in the day, and then I transitioned to WoW like everyone else, and then I switched over to EQ, the TLP servers, when they came out again and again and again and again. But then I found Pantheon, and then I thought, hey, there's EQ, but like better. So that's what I did. I started looking into it, reading into it, decided, hey, I wanted to maybe get involved and see what it's all about. They preach community, so here I am.
How long,
awesome.
Fragile? How long have you been following Pantheon?
About 2 years, probably.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. You are like the dedicated hardcore, like there from the beginning guy. What makes you so passionate about this? Like, what is it that you see or hope to see from Pantheon that's really got you to the point where you're like, 2 years, I'm going to wait 2 years?
Well, it's the fact that it's going to have everything I want in it. You know what I mean? It's going to have that old school feel. It's not going to be, little millennials running around being excited about shooting people. And that's fresh breath air. Or breath of fresh air. Yeah. It
on this show, it doesn't matter. You can just twist words.
The next game we're going to play is Name That Colloquialism.
Yeah, right. That's I'm just surprised that I actually get any words out at all, actually, to be honest with you. Can
I say this?
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
I say that I'm so glad that Fragile is with us.
Me too.
Because for once, we have a gentleman on the show that is not rocking a beard. He's showing us the masculinity in
not that he couldn't, because I can tell he can.
All the ladies like it.
Oh, yeah. He's a ladies' man.
Man, I need to.
There we go.
And by ladies, it's just my wife.
The most important person to impress, your spouse.
That's awesome. So okay, so you come from EQ. What in EverQuest? Like I hear a lot of people saying that I'm going from EverQuest and I'm going into Pantheon. What was it about EverQuest? Because I didn't play EverQuest, and so I'm still kind of enamored. I'm excited about Pantheon for maybe some different reasons, but I would love to hear from somebody who's played EverQuest a lot. What is it about that game that really made such a tight knit community that is moving over?
Okay, so I used to play EQ anywhere from 15 to 30 hours straight, and this was day after day.
I thought you were going to say a week.
Yeah, I was.
No. This was hardcore. And when you do that, you can actually improve your character while you're doing that. Like if you put that time in now to WoW, you're up to the RNG. Are you going to get loot or you're not going to get loot? Is it going to be upgrades or not? But with EQ, you're constantly upgrading your character. And that's kind of what they're doing with Pantheon. They're going to have horizontal progression. They're going to have linear progression. They're going to have things to do.
As educators, it's just like vertical and horizontal alignment.
That's tremendous. Let's man, I've had enough of it.
It's like latitude and longitude.
I was trying to be smart and it didn't work.
Ooh. All right, so
I'll just have some more beer now.
So Fragile, you have a YouTube channel. And what kind of videos do you make on there?
So yeah, I played a monk in EQ and I was pretty good at it. And so I thought, hey, my first video, I'll make a monk video, talk about the class, kind of get myself out there, see if it's even worth talking about. So I did, and it got more views than I ever expected. And so I'll just keep going with it. And that's when I felt like I could change the community a little bit with my videos, just because a lot of the stuff being put out there right now are just, reading off the website. And I don't think that's real good content. Have your opinion. And that's what I use as my opinion and also my experience in gaming, hardcore rating, light stuff, casual stuff, everything I've done, put it in a video, and then it's new. It's something different.
I have a question for Fragile.
Yeah, go for it.
So you mentioned this. You hit your microphone, Militus, trying to vote. Okay. So Fragile, my question is this: when you mentioned one difference about EQ, and none of us, I think, none of us played EQ at all. I know I didn't. I don't think any of the boys did. So can you maybe extrapolate a little bit for those of us who have never played EQ at all, some additional things that you think that EQ brought to the MMO that like WoW or some of the other WoW clones did not, that you are hoping that Pantheon builds on?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely time. Everything's slower, it's slower to get places. It's slower to level up. It's slower to achieve things. On top of that, since it's slower, it gives you the chance to talk to people, learn about someone, learn about something in game, learn about where a quest is, see a cool item, ask them where it's from. Even in your just EXP grinds, you're constantly talking to people. And now it's going to be, probably voice chat and things like that. But back then you were constantly just talking to party chat, group chat, guild chat all the time.
Right.
Cool.
Right. Looking for stuff. That's awesome.
That sounds so fun.
I know that's the kind of stuff I do enjoy. And I like the idea that maybe we can find things that we didn't expect. I like the unexpected in my games a little bit sometimes. I like to come across something and be like, oh wow, that's like not, I didn't plan on that tonight. Right. Because everything else seems so planned out. Like I always knew the progression and wow, I knew exactly what I was going for next. It was like, okay, I'm going to go do this rating. I'm going to hit this thing and get this next piece. And so it does sound kind of exciting that I might be able to go around and find some new stuff. So, any other MMOs that you spent a lot of time in? Is there any other kind of gaming that you do? What do you do now that there's not? We're kind of in a little bit of a lull.
I'm a cutter now, and it's hard.
You're having
no, but
yeah.
I played WildStar a lot. I was really into WildStar. After that, and I don't know if it was before, I'm pretty sure it was before, but I played Star Wars, The Old Republic. I was pretty hardcore in that.
I love me all of those BioWare games, man.
And I mean, I've played other stuff like Dragon Age and things, but right now I just Overwatcher, watching YouTube videos, waiting for Pantheon, hitting refresh over and over.
So so check this out. I've got Overwatch gear on right now. So I got my Philadelphia jersey, and I've got my Shanghai Dragons there on. So see, I'm all about the Overwatches. It's good times.
I have another question for Fragile. So, where can people find your content and interact with you?
Sure. Up above me, I will stream at some point. Up there's my Twitch. But I'm also on Pantheon.plus. It's the easiest place to find me and all the other content out there. I would go there first. Otherwise, you can search me on YouTube or hit me up on Twitter at fragile_.
And is your YouTube handle the same?
YouTube, I still need to get more subscribers till I can get that specified YouTube name. So that's why it's just easier to hit Pantheon.plus and find all my content there.
Yeah. And guys, can I just say, I hit up Pantheon Plus, .plus, I should say, this week. And the way that they're handling content, it is the poo, y'all. You can find anything you want. It's all streamlined. And they really take a lot of work to update all of the community.
The way
it's so nice.
Really cool. Yeah,
it
cool.
really is streamlined, and you can find anything you want over there.
I think you just want to say it.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm kind of questioning how Minus has anything to do with it, to be honest with you.
We are canceled. We just got canceled. Just like that. Minus
immediately standing in fire removed from Pantheon.
Minus, here's what I'm doing.
To have hair until he started Pantheon.plus.
Oh my goodness, here's what I'm doing for that. Here we go. That's the Dell OptiPlex.
I'll take the air horn. I deserve it.
All right, I had to give us a little hockey music because I know Minus likes hockey, and so I had to get us back in good graces because let's face it, we were not on a mission there. Let's go ahead. We're going to move on into. We had some phone calls and texts this week. Did we want to start with a phone call?
Yeah, we do. I want to say this though before we start rolling the phone calls.
Yes, okay.
I had a suggestion from Basgram, and this kind of is why you're about to hear the phone call you're about to hear.
Okay, all right.
Because Basgram actually called in to the show live.
I know it. I feel bad.
He called in live?
Live.
Let's do it live. Let's do it live. Well,
Which if my OptiPlex could handle it, I could actually have taken the phone call, but I can't do that.
Just for Basgram. Great suggestion.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense. We're kind of labeled as the morning drive show of Pantheon content. So we might want to do that, right? So I have it on my phone. If you call the number, right? Which is what, Tess? You can sing it for us.
702. What is it? 702-625-1337.
Very
so
good.
If you call or text that live at the show, I have it tied to my phone, so I will be able to kind of pick you up. You have to, when you first call in, it'll ask you for your name and say who you are, and then it'll ring you through to me. And as long as you're a decent human being and not
a complete douche,
then I'll put you on air. Or if you send me a text message, I'll try to read it on air. And so if you're not in chat and you want to communicate to us that way, you can, or you can leave us a voicemail and I'll catch it between shows. But anyways, this is our first call. This is kind of like a hybrid call. Part of this call came in last week. Part of this call came in today. So we ready?
Double call?
Go. Yeah, we got a call and a response. Here we go. Oh, and someone's calling now. Is that you?
Oh my goodness. No, it's not me. I didn't do it. That would have been funny though. I could have pretended to be somebody else.
I bet it's somebody from chat.
All right.
To send a voice, press 2.
All right, caller. Who am I speaking to? Hold on. It would be nice if I took you off of.
Yeah, because I can't hear anything.
All right, caller. Who am I speaking to?
All right.
Hello?
I mean, I'm sorry, Divide.
So I've
I was
pissed.
just calling in because I'd heard some comments about a guy that I really like named Minus, and he told me a story about Militus.
Yeah.
Something about we were fighting a raid boss in Vanguard, and he seemed to have some kind of problem, and I was wondering if Militus could talk about
I think
that.
we're losing connection with this guy right
Oh,
Yeah.
He wants you to talk about a boss that you guys fought.
now.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you for that phone call, random caller.
Random caller. Yes.
Appreciate that random caller on that call in.
All right, go ahead and play
But
the
thanks for
call.
calling.
Play the call.
I'm
Roll
gonna play the
call.
call. Here we go.
All right.
Hey, Basgrin, and I just had a question for Napalm. I noticed that another day has passed, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were about that. That's all. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, so I'm just calling in to leave a reply to the voicemail that you got from Basgren. Somehow I know about that. So I just wanted to say that I too also noticed another day had passed, and I found that kind of bizarre because that happened yesterday as well. And that does let me know that time is still working, and that's very good because I would hate for there to be some kind of atmospheric kind of change to the time system. I don't have the proper artifact to kind of help persuade the time system to be normal for me. So I'm very happy that it's normal. And it also does mean that we are a day closer to the launch of Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. God is good. See you guys later.
That's
Oh,
great. All right, very
that
good.
made me so
All
happy.
right, now you're confusing Siri, and Siri. So here, let me set this up for you a little bit.
Yeah,
we
new
had-
people to chat, including Siri.
we had Nathan Napalm on the show last week.
He was in chat with us tonight.
And he was
Shout
in,
out to Nathan.
yeah, and he's in chat. So hello, Nathan. Now Nathan was on, and we didn't take the phone call live. And if we would have had this answered last week. But instead, we just played it this week, and then Nathan replied to it because we felt bad that we didn't get to it. You see what I'm saying? So very, very complex stuff. All right, we also had a text message from the 352, which the 352 happens to be Florida. And so
I
this
thought that was
came
Oakland, California.
No,
No,
this actually
Wait,
this is actually a swamp in Florida.
I wanted to do that.
I looked up I looked up the zip code and or the area code, and it puts you square in the middle of an alligator farm. So I believe this text came from an actual alligator farmer in Florida. It said, "What do you guys think of only having 12 abilities on the hotbar and enforcing a skill cap?" So let's just go. So what do you think, Fragile? You're our guest. What do you think about that? 12 abilities on the hotbar and enforcing a skill cap.
I think it's a good thing. It's actually a lot like WildStar in that way, but also it keeps it from being WoW. I mean, how many hotbars do you have in WoW, and how insanely annoying.
I know it's like a jet fighter cockpit in there. Yeah.
I also think that part of what we're going to kind of talk about a little bit later are a lot of like the environmental things that they're going to try to include in the game. And you have to plan ahead into where you're going. So if you had, for example, let's say that you had like 14 billion WoW abilities on your hotbar, each one of which could address a different atmospheric issue, then that's not fun. Like you just walk in, you're like, oh, it's cold here, so I'm just gonna hit my cold ability. It makes planning and thinking ahead part of the game, which I appreciate. There's my 2 cents.
What about you, Militus? What do you think?
Down time. This is another reason why downtime is a great idea, because my understanding so far is 12 abilities, not able to change during combat. So that means when you get out of combat and you're approaching one of these areas, like Tess said, and you're downtime, you're waiting for me to recoup my mana. We're like, hey, we're about to go into this area. Militus, the Elder Druid, throw us a buff to help us withstand this poison effect we're about to go through. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. And let's also think about this. Most of the abilities that I've read about on the website are useful. I have played other games, not to call a bunch of games out. They had a bazillion abilities all over hotbars, all over my screen, but I didn't use but 4.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But look at this. I have a 12-button mouse right there. And so I think that's why they did it. I think they said, Boom is going to play Arkai. He's got a 12-button mouse. Let's do 12-button things. Look at that. Everybody's got a 12-button mouse. And then there's Tess. Tess has got like, what?
Okay.
Is that 2.5 buttons? So, I don't know what. How do you even play with that thing? Buttons. That's not an MMO mouse. What do you do?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
But can I tell you this story? So boys, you guys understand Mama Tess. So for our listeners, my mother, which we affectionately call Mama Tess, is in her 60s and is a raid leader and a PvP leader. And
she had you when she was 42, though, so it's all good.
Sure, she did.
Yeah.
And but she's a hardcore gamer. She is where I learned to play video games.
Right.
She's the one that had Ultima Online. She's the original WoW player. Like, so for Christmas this year, she was like, I need a new gaming mouse, but I don't want too many buttons. She's like, don't give me a 12-button mouse. I don't want one of those. So I got her like a 4-button Razer thing for Christmas,
which works out well in Elder Scrolls. That's a good mouse.
Well, and also she probably could not deal with that, but I also cannot deal with it. I don't have the ability. I always have to play.
It's coming from a person who plays piano.
Yeah, right. Right.
Well, yes, but that's completely different. I can't play with those hardcore mouses. Mice. I can't play with those hardcore mice. I can't even push to talk when I'm playing.
Push to talk is a little.
I can't imagine you tanking anything then.
She's a good tank. Fired. I'm telling you, she's a good tank.
A good tank.
She's a good tank. Hey,
watch it. We also
have an email.
You never told us your opinion.
Actually, let's go back to that text.
I started. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, text.
And EQ, most casters and hybrids only had 8 spell slots, and so that's similar to the 12 hotkeys, and you could switch it in combat, but you had to sit and meditate and then switch them out and then mem them. And a lot of times, there was sit aggro back then too. So if your aggro was high, you sat down, boom, mob's nailing you.
And let's not bring back memming.
Well, in Guild Wars 2, you only get
6.
9.
No, it's 6.
No, that is incorrect, sir.
Might be 7.
6 is your heal, and then you get 3 more, so it's 9. I'm right, and you're wrong. So I mean, I have absolutely no issue with a limited hotbar.
Hey, here's the Arkai only need 1 button, and it's called chill. And they're just gonna chill out, man. I'm gonna be spamming. I'm gonna be spamming chill all day. It's gonna buff everybody and make them happy.
Add like smoke a joint as an ability.
Yeah, and the Arkai is just gonna hang out on the beach, and it's just gonna be like chill, and it's just gonna buff everybody around him, and everybody's just gonna be like, oh man, I'm totally chill. It's gonna be great. Just one thing. All right, we have an email from Tim O'Connell. He says, hey there, Standing in Fire. I love the show, and the latest episode really struck a nerve with me when you mentioned legacy board games. First off, modern board games are phenomenal. The art presentations, components, cool mechanisms, etc. They have changed my life, and I have converted 100% lifelong video gamer into a 50% board gamer and a 50% video gamer. My wife and I play board games 3 or 4 times a week at night after our kids go to bed. And he mentioned check out Board Game Geek sometime. Anyway, if you are thinking about dipping into legacy-style board games, you might as well start with the king, and I'm talking about Gloomhaven. Tess, have you heard of Gloomhaven?
I don't think she
We'll
has.
talk about that in a minute. Continue.
All right. My wife and I have been playing for months on end. It's a 25-pound box of amazing, awesome dungeon crawling where you do events, level up, go shopping, fight huge variety of monsters, and eventually retire and open up a box containing a brand new character class. It's got a branching story with almost 100 scenarios, half of which you probably won't even see depending upon the decisions you make. There are no dice. Every turn is about selecting 2 cards from your hand and executing the moves on those cards. So it is both strategic and tactical depending upon what both your teammates and the monster AR. I'm getting this all bumbled. Sorry, guys. I said so. It's both strategic and tactical depending on what both you and your teammates and the monster AI cards show at the beginning of each round. Unfortunately, it is also pricey at around $100 to $110, but you get hundreds of hours of content in the box, so you get your money's worth. Keep up the awesome show, and yes, every day brings us one day closer to the launch of Pantheon. There you go. So, Tess, what was your comments about this? What was your comments about this Gloomhaven?
On everybody. My word.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
right.
You have to. It's meh. I need.
You want me to get it? Oh, you know what? I don't even have that. Oh my gosh. This has been a failure. Everybody gets their money back tonight because I am blowing it. That's what I'm talking about. Goodness gracious. I'm gonna use this. So instead of moment of Zen, because I'm missing my Zen song, I'm gonna say there you go. So Tess, what was your beer popping moment?
My beer popping moment
yes.
of the evening. So again, work hell. I literally haven't loaded up a video game in 2 weeks, you guys. I just haven't had time. But this last Sunday, my D&D group was kind of on a mini hiatus. So instead, we all got on Tabletop Simulator on Steam.
Oh, yes.
And we played Gloomhaven.
Oh, how'd that
and
go
that
for you?
was my it was really fun. It was made me really excited for the legacy system. Unfortunately, the way exactly like Tim said, the way that you play with cards and all that stuff, it just played really, really slow for us. And I didn't like the individual gameplay. What I really liked was all the legacy stuff that happened in between each game. That stuff was fun, like unlocking new cards, putting stickers on the board, adding names to things like that. That stuff was really, really fun, like crazy fun.
So arts and crafts.
Well, yeah, but it's not just arts and crafts. Fragile. But it was also the fact that your decisions changed the way that the game will play in the future. And it was really fun. So personally, I will not probably play Gloomhaven again because you have to really like the way that the core game plays. For example, one of the other ones is Risk Legacy, which I probably won't pick up because Risk, the actual game play, not something that tickles my fancy. But they also have Pandemic and all these other ones. But the next one that I'd like to try is Seafall. If I can find some people and have some time to play it this week, I will. I'll probably try to give that a shot. But yeah, what I'm really hoping for is that in the next 70-hour work week, I can actually get on and play a video game. You guys, I need it for my mental.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep the fingers crossed. If I can't, then maybe I can play some board games. But Gloomhaven, fun. Probably for a lot of people, not for me. But the legacy board game idea, winner.
All right, fantastic. So I don't have the sound for you, Fragile, but how about you? Did you have a moment this week where you were just that was an amazing time? I did something this week that just I got to tell everybody about.
Do you have that poop sound?
I do. Hold on. Let's see.
No,
Okay.
No, I've just really been. I played Overwatch a little bit, and then of course we had our Sunday fun day playing Vanguard, where Militus let me die over and over and over and over.
Oh, Militus! How
Militus.
could you?
Where were the rainbow deer sprinkles?
I know
Yes,
they were.
what's
They
going
were.
on, man?
I was trying to get them moist for you. Is what it happened.
Yes,
Tess.
moistened
I
sprinkles.
just, by the way, noticed Milla, your
Moist,
new
juicy
addition to your
sprinkles.
wall.
What's that?
The other side.
Oh, do you like this? My kids got this for me.
Coolest dad ever.
That is pretty
Do
cool.
you notice it's on top of it?
I can't see it.
That you can't really tell, but that's King Lane Ren from Warcraft.
Very good.
Aw,
He's
They
the
gave it
coolest
to me
dad.
for-
Very cool.
that's cute.
Very cool.
Thank you.
But
All
so
right.
so Militus let you die over and over, Fragile.
Yeah, I didn't mean to.
That's
but-
rough, fragile.
He
That's
was
not
meleeing.
nice.
That's what happens.
Yes, I know, right? He's
I'm
like,
sorry.
he's
You
always like,
either need a like good DPS dealer
Yeah.
or a good tank.
he's always like, I want to heal everybody, but at the
That's
same
what
time,
he
I'm going to
does
beat you on the,
Come on.
I'm going to beat you on
You
the
gotta cut
DPS
this
ladder.
That actually
Yeah.
makes sense then.
Well,
Yeah.
okay,
It's too much.
listeners, we give him so much crap, but honestly, Milla, one of the best healers I have ever encountered in an MMO. That dude knows what's up.
See,
If I die, it is because I wildly miscalculated something.
and that wasn't the case.
Never
with
because of lack of heals.
for Julie. No, I wasn't paying attention, but
He's just
I'll get
face rolling the keyboard. Raw
Yeah.
DPS.
He's just
was
going
just
for it.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
was smashing.
Militus, how about you?
Whoa,
Moment
wait,
of Zen.
wait, really quick. Fragile, what were you playing in Vanguard?
I was playing a Necromancer.
Ooh.
So even though I was self-healing myself and lasting forever,
Yeah, right.
Militus let me down.
Right. Militus. All right, Militus, give us
Well,
your moment of Zen.
Quickly, my moment of Zen was also in Vanguard, but it was something different. Not only did I let Fragile die, but in Vanguard, we played the other night, and we play on Sunday nights for anyone who wants to join us.
Right. It is fun.
There's a GM that's like building the server. This is it's a proper term we use for it. Not a private server, but a whatever server we use for it that's not private. Anyway, emulator. That's it.
There you go.
Fragile. An emulator. So on the emulator, we had a GM with us, right? And he ports us or takes us to this area where there's this level 56 mob. We're like level 22.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's get him. So we go start beating on this mob. And we're actually holding our own.
Mhm.
Like I thought we'd get one shot.
Like
but
it
we're
was like
holding on.
13% or something like that too. I
And I'm
think.
running out of mana. I'm healing so much after I let Fragile die, but I'm healing the tank. And there's this GM command that you could use in the game to level yourself, and it will
Right.
restore all your mana, right? And so the first time, Minus, who's tanking's like, "Hey, Militus, level yourself up." So I type it in real quick, and I level crafting. There's 3 different things you can level in Vanguard: crafting, diplomacy, and your actual adventuring or experience. So I did it the first time, but I got too cocky. And I'm like, I did exactly what Fragile talked about. I went in like, I'm going to smack this thing in the face. So I'm healing and smacking this mob in the face. And all of a sudden I hear Minus going, Militus, you're out of mana. Militus, you're out of mana. And I was like, damn it, I'm out of mana. And so I froze up. I start typing the GM commands, but you have to like put a period in a certain spot and a space in a certain spot. And I typed the same command I did before, except I was already that level. So I didn't level up. I didn't gain any mana. And I was like, oh shit. So I started typing it again, and I typed, I put 1 extra space. So it didn't work again.
No.
And at that point, poor Minus died.
We were all done.
We nearly,
Yeah, we were all done.
What,
Wait.
percent?
It was 13% or so. It was like we were way down.
Die?
I did.
His hands were shaking, his hearts were beating. He
It
was
was so
still
funny.
typing, still getting typed up.
I was
We're like,
typing all kinds of
type, Militus, type. I'd never heard that, by the way, in a MMO chat before, where everybody's like screaming, type that command. But it was good. It was good stuff. All right. Well, as for me, my moment of Zen,
Were you palm sweaty? Mom's
No,
spaghetti.
I was fingertips
sweaty. Yes. As for my moment of zen, I did make level 60 in Terra. I've been playing a lot of Terra. So if anybody wants to come play Terra with Boom, I'm playing on the Xbox. I know it's I'm just casually playing it. I'm having a blast. You're breaking my heart, Melissa. Actually, I thought I didn't like the game when I started, and then all of a sudden I started playing. I was like, actually, this is groovy. It's the first time in a while I've wanted to play multiple classes, so I'm gonna actually roll some new tunes as I get leveled up. So there you go. I recommend it, and you all should join me on the Xbox, and it'll be fun instead of telling me that. I'm on a list. What? Who's telling me I'm on a list? I didn't even see that in chat. You said that Farhelm says now I'm on a list. What list am I on? Am I on like some kind of a... I don't like being on lists, mailing lists, and... All right.
You're
That's okay.
on the boob physics list.
Yeah. All right.
So
let's leave boob physics and talk Pantheon.
We're gonna go ahead and talk Pantheon, and I had something. I had some background music here, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll some background music. There we go. All right, because I wanted to get some background music as we kind of start. There we go. You guys got it. All right, very good. We had a letter from developers this week, correct?
Oh boy, it's about to get serious up in this.
Yes, it's about to get super serious.
Can we make the flames higher?
The flames are hot. Right? All right. Let's go ahead and just get into this thing. So, letter comes out today. So, letter comes out once a month. Talks about kind of what's going on in the game. It's a letter from the developers, and there was 5 parts, I believe, to this letter. Kind of like an intro, which I don't know. There really wasn't much to the intro. The intro was more about like what happened last month. Wasn't it?
It was too. I think it was cool because it was like why the polar vortex is hitting North America.
I see. So there's some. All right.
I love the intro.
He warmed us up. Okay, so there you go. So
negative 25 here in colorful Colorado.
Fantastic. It's keeping my beer cold. So anyway, and then we get into Under Wraps, which was kind of a section that had some screenshots of some architecture and some pictures of Fairthal.
And Ben said they were hiring, and that's
right.
Great news.
That is really great news, right?
They should hire everybody
tomorrow.
I know, but I was thinking about that. I think they need developers.
They need devs.
Am I not wrong? Like, I think that a lot of those people were customer service agents, not developers, if I'm not mistaken. So, that seems to be kind of, at least that's what I get in my idea is what they were.
Yeah, they fired a lot of like PR/HR/. Yeah.
But what about like Fragile? What do you think of those Fairthal shots of like the architecture? They're pretty cool, right?
Yeah, they're all right. I mean, it's good art. The game doesn't have bad art, and it's just going to get.
Yeah,
I thought Tess would be super happy because Fairthal is the halfling starting area. It looked very halfling and design.
They're very worried about it. They're spending a lot of money on the halflings. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
no, it's the elf.
Is it elves?
Is it the elf city?
Is it the elf?
It's elf. They're spending a lot of money on something that doesn't involve the Archai. Let's just put it that way. So I'm not going to get too excited about anything until they start showing me the beautiful beaches where the Archai cranks some gnarly waves. And so I don't know. I like it. You should definitely check it out though, because I thought the artwork was very pretty. I noticed the kind of the high res nature of it. So I've got high hopes. I think higher hopes for the actual graphic quality of Pantheon than maybe I had early on. I think right now I'm actually feeling as if this is going to be a better looking game than I had originally gave it credit for. And remember, did you always think it's going to be just absolutely? Yeah. I just assumed, I don't know why I assumed that, but I just did. I guess it's just when you think of a lower budget thing and you think they don't have, you sort of say, they're probably going to struggle there, but it's very clear to me from this that they have the art people to make some great art.
It kind of looks like Rivendell.
It does very much so.
There's one graphic that's like a
Yeah.
gazebo with
it's very low tor.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely some of that.
Yeah,
in there.
kind of looks. It looks cool.
So
it's pretty.
Militus, we get into the next section, which is behind the design, and what do we got about this?
Yeah, in my mind, this was the best section in the newsletter. Although I really liked the interview with Brad McQuaid, but the section that Joppa wrote about behind the design taught me more about Pantheon than the rest, I guess, of the newsletter, in my opinion.
Right.
And it gave us our first peek with some sufficient detail of how atmospheres are going to work in the game. And atmospheres are like,
I lost Militus there for a second. I don't know what's
Nathan,
going on there.
I was
there we
just like getting ready for YouTube. I'm back. I'm here.
Okay, there you go. You're back. Okay, go for
I'm
it.
here. Yeah, it's a big shout out to
just said
Nathan.
it was like,
Yeah, the atmospheres are like obstacles, right? That you're going to run into across Terminus as you're exploring. And the newsletter kind of identified, for the first time I've seen, specific ones. So silencing mist, fog of confusion, gloom, frenetic floor, curse of intangibility, heavy air, shifting wall. A lot of these, I think you can make inferences about what will happen if you get into those areas, but they're all going to be bad for you. They're going to be obstacles for you to overcome.
Right.
And the cool part is he said that, and they went into detail like what one did specifically, and that's gloom. He said that gloom permeates undead ruins, crypts, and graveyards, places with high concentrations of undead. And it'll have a negative effect to players, but it'll also bolster mobs. So the negative effects for gloom are things like it drains your mana over time. Any healer, that is one scary ass area to go into, right? That scares me. 2, it reduces your healing effectiveness. Now, I definitely don't want to go in that area as a healer. And 3rd, it increases the damage inflicted by undead enemies. Yeah, to me, like the gloom areas, that's kind of scary for healers unless you have an artifact.
You got to have the right
because
equipment.
for the first time,
or an ability that will help you offset it, or specific gear. Like you said, the artifact, but they even talked about a long time ago. I was reading the wiki, and they even were talking about like armor that had specific atmosphere negates on it. So I think this is genius.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it's genius because I'll be honest, I have in my WoW bank 14 million, over exaggeration, ton of old armor that there is
resist armor.
Yeah, that are just, for me, I have to keep it because I work so hard to get it. You know what I mean? So I have to keep it in my bank. But I will never use it again. I will never, ever need anything that's on there again. But imagine if one of those items of crazy old armor had an atmospheric negation on it. And you could pull it out and you'd be like, I haven't used this piece of armor for ages. But this latest expansion just opened up a whole bunch of worlds that have a ton of gloom in it. And I haven't been in a gloom zone or a gloom area for, it would make that armor situational, important again. And so I think that that's really interesting.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Since this seems to be like an undead sort of atmosphere, are paladins?
Well, it depends on what kind or clerics. Yeah.
Both.
Well, I mean, paladins specifically have the undead, they flame up with when they're around and everything. They do more damage, take less damage.
Well, and I think that that's a great thought for Gile. How cool would it be if in this zone that has all this gloom in it has a dungeon in it, and you just know, your main tank, you should go with like Pally on this because they do have kind of an offset.
Hold on. let me stop you there in your tracks for a second, Tessie Poo.
Yes, sir.
Because here's the thing, like I think you guys are bringing up good points. I want these areas to be exclusionary to a degree. In other words, if you don't have the artifact or you don't have the gear and you walk in there, your ass dies immediately. Let me just say
I don't think your ass dies
to-
immediately. I think that it's going to be
I'm saying you take 2 steps in, your health drops to 50%. You're like, I got to totes leave this place unless I have the right gear. I hope it's that punishing. But back to your point, I hope that the synergies between the classes will make it so that people won't exclude, let's say, warriors or dire lords. For example, sure, you could walk in there with a paladin tank and probably have a leg up.
Exactly.
But what if you have a paladin tank and a druid healer? Cool. Paladin tank and shaman healer. Cool. But what if you have a warrior?
I think it should. I still think that it should work. Well, and I also think that there should be multiple, like that's why I said Pally and Cleric, because they're both kind of these divine beings that should have kind of a leg up on undead type of situations. So yeah, maybe you don't have a warrior cleric or a warrior tank. And that's not saying that the warrior can't tank it and that you're going to immediately fail if you don't have a pally, or that you immediately fail if you don't have a cleric. But
I'm just saying, I think the synergies will be there. I think.
Yeah, the synergies will be there. And it's
and
something
then if
you'll
you
have to
walk
pay
in with a
attention to.
paladin and a cleric, oh dear God, you probably are going to like wreck fate.
Yeah, you're totes then for sure. Yeah, right.
Boom just lost 20% health.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. You're in good shape.
Did you say totes or did I say totes?
Militus said totes.
Okay.
And then
As I say it too.
We're all forgetting the fact that the archive will have a racial that allows them to just smoke a doobie anytime, and they can walk through gloomy stuff because it's called mellow and chill. They're just gonna chill, man, and they're just gonna chill. The gloom doesn't impact them because they're not scared, because they're just chill.
So fragile. What do you think about that? Do you think that like classes will give benefits to certain atmospheric situations? Do you think that that's a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's a good idea, but also it could turn into, well, you're not a so-and-so class, you're not coming. But also
you have to wait outside.
Like, I wish I had that. I wish I was that class. Maybe you want to roll an alt now, it kind of preserves the game a little bit.
Well, so
careful balance.
The character balance. I think that it's fun in a cohesion in a group. So we have 9 classes. Let's say that I'm making numbers up, and they've already said that there were more than this. But let's say out of the 9 classes that you could play, is it 12?
12.
12. I'm sorry.
9 races.
And
9 races. Thank you. So out of the 12 classes you could play, let's say that there were, in any given atmospheric event, there were 3 classes that could give you a benefit. Then it's not, you have to have a pally. It's just, you have to have not even half. It would behoove you to have one of these 4 classes in this ability, in this dungeon.
As Nathan just said in chat, I think it's a good point. Or just work your butt off and go get the artifact.
And I think it's important not to diminish the strength of the artifact.
No, not at all.
Just ignore the quest, ignore, the whole line of everything. So.
And how
there's just
cool
going to
would
be
it be?
Right outside one of the zones where there's this thing, there's just going to be like 15 clerics just standing there because they got left behind. Their groups are just like, no, sorry. They're just looking, looking longingly into the gloom, just going, man, we can't go in there, man. It's just
the rezzing for donation.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and how cool would it be if there was this artifact, and I'm just thinking like future expansions down the road, that there was an artifact that you were like, oh, I got this thing and it was kind of cool, but I don't really get a benefit from it now. But then in the meta, they make it cool with additional release. And they can adjust just like an Overwatch, like every different release, a different character gets kind of a little more buff, and the artifacts can do that, not just the classes. That's cool, because then that would make me really want to work my butt off if I had an option to go work towards an artifact. Right now, it's like this artifact won't help me.
And
you know,
did say they are legendary rare items.
Yeah,
So
that is so
I don't
cool.
take those words lightly.
I like that actually, because here's my thing. If you make an artifact equal or better, as Nathan kind of mentioned, then I run into this issue where now everybody's just grinding artifacts, and then you don't get to come if you don't have the artifact. Whereas I do like the idea of the artifact being slightly less powered, just so that you grind it so that you can actually participate, but you're probably not as good as somebody who has the actual
ability
benefit. Does that kind of make sense? That way you still are playing that game a little bit of like who still needs to be there.
Field, but it doesn't equalize it.
It doesn't I don't want it totally equalized. Yeah, I guess that's the
it
thing.
Makes it so that you can play it. It makes it so that you're not excluded from the content. And like I said, we're talking like it would bother me if all of the dungeons in one particular ability level all required a gloom ability. And so I am completely cut off unless I have an artifact. But if there's like 4 different dungeons or zones or something that have like 4 different ability levels, I don't have my gloom artifact yet. But you know what I do have? I have my fog artifact or my fog ability. So I'm going to zip over here and I can be effective while I'm working towards my gloom artifact, so I can unlock
this group over here. I can go camp over here for gear or whatever.
Right.
Whatever. I don't know what's going to be involved with.
Who knows? Who knows what that all is going to be? But it's
who knows?
Fun.
It's
awfully fun to talk about. So I think that's going to be exciting. So go check it out. There's a bunch of great information on all these atmospheres. I think it did kind of it kind of also showed kind of from a game design aspect where they're going with some of this stuff. And just where they're trying to integrate some complexities in the design that aren't with some of the other games. So I really like that. Rather than just saying, hey, our game, it's going to rain at night, they're saying if it does, it's going to have an impact on you, right? You're going to have to do what Boom does in MMOs, strip down and keep your chainmail off, otherwise it'll rust. So you need to take your armor off while it's raining. You need to walk around the forest naked. When it stops raining, you can put your armor back on and you can go for it. Otherwise, you're just going to have rusty, crappy armor. All right, what about the question and answer with Brad McQuaid? Tell us what you guys think.
So I pulled up. I know that maybe Fragile has some parts of this he wants to talk about. He answered several questions. Let me just say this. Brad, first of all, Brad was, I'm not sure if you guys noticed this or not, he was all over the internets today.
Yeah.
First of all, he jumped in one of my tweets. I was like, oh, shit, Brad McQuaid just jumped in my tweet. He was all over the forums. He was commenting. I didn't go to Facebook because that's death to me. I don't go there. But I'm sure he was there too. He was all over the place. But he sat down and he answered several questions. And this is the one I wanted to talk about, but maybe you guys have others. The question was asked him, have you ever reached out to or considered working with a game publisher? If the right opportunity arose, would you take it? Now, before I give you his response, the reason that question really struck me is this little game called WildStar. You see, let me just tell a quick story and then we'll go to Brad's response. There was once this group of passionate Blizzard ex-employees that created a studio, and they were super talented and they were building a hell of an MMO. And then somewhere along the way, this studio sold out to NCSoft, a big publisher. And they got the game published. But along the way, I feel like they compromised a lot of their values. And they listened to some bad, loud people in the community, both. And ultimately, that's why WildStar's not running today. I think they compromise their values, and that's a separate conversation. But that's why the question popped out to me, because the whole time one of the things that attracted me to Pantheon from the very moment I found it was small, it was niche, and they had these core set of values they were going to stick to come hell or high water. I'm like, let me throw money at you because that's what I want. So here's how Brad responded to that. He said, we talk to publishers, investors, etc. all the time. Although the crowdfunding we've received, we will also need further investment and or support from publishers and investors, which would allow us to accelerate. That said, we are a fiercely independent company, lean and mean, and this has been part of our culture since the project's inception. What we are looking for, more accurately, are partners. What those partners are isn't as important to us as who they are. Do they share our vision? Will they allow us to control the company and the game from a strategic and creative standpoint? Does the Visionary Realms culture mesh well with these other entities? That's what's most important to us, and what we think will ultimately allow us to release an amazing game. And I love this last part. Compromise is the enemy of excellence, he says. So, thoughts to the three of you about the question and the answer.
Start us off, Fragile. Yeah, start us off, Fragile.
All right. It actually kind of blew my mind because it, to me, sounds like, they talked about originally alpha was going to be 2018 December-ish, and then they pushed it back, and we're like, okay, so there's going to be another pre-alpha. What reading through all that means to me is that they're going to package up pre-alpha 5 in hopes that it's pretty enough, looks great enough, polished enough to then attract a publisher that wants to partner with them, which is completely new news to basically everyone. So it's a small question and answer, but it's a huge reveal.
Right, because we're dealing with a time frame, right? We're dealing with kind of like release dates. We're dealing with a lot of stuff. Right.
And yeah, it's I'm not opposed to having a publisher. It has to be the right one. And as Militus said, you want a partner and not someone to just gobble you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I.e. Wildstar. Yeah.
Right. I speculate, and I'm just, this is pure speculation. When we're talking about, a company and having a publisher and things, I keep thinking in my head that they won these awards for the most anticipated game, or I can't remember what it was, but a couple years in a row, it just shows that there's like a following. There's people that are anxious to have this game and things. And I think that gives them some leverage to sort of attract some funds, because I think they're able to say, look, we've already got this passionate fan base. This thing's going to be successful. It's going to be great. And I'm almost wondering if through that success, they're not saying, rather than putting the game out maybe in a state that's a little below our vision, maybe we can find that partner and get the exact vision that we have with the completed title. And so that's kind of how I read it, was they wanted to go ahead and take that extra little bit of time, maybe even find that extra little bit of money to sort of polish it, even if it takes longer to do that. That's how I felt when I read it. And again, it's all speculation on my end.
Tess?
I really have no comment on this, because I think you've all already said everything that I wanted to say about it. So
my comment is in the form of a question. When I first found Pantheon, this is one of the, like I said, this is one of the things that attracted me to it, was the fact that there wasn't a big publisher there, because of my past experiences with other MMOs. But here's my question to you guys. And really, I hope Brad's listening to this, or somebody at Visionary Realms could answer this. Maybe I'll put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
If the game's core audience is in fact niche, and if the idea is that this game isn't going to be Fortnite, which I don't think any of us think, right? I mean, that's a fair assumption.
That's fair.
Then do you really need a publisher? I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Can I jump in here?
Yeah,
I want to
jump
answer
in.
that.
that niche
Yeah,
and it's that
jump in.
small, do you really need a publisher?
So I think what happened is they animations has been hit on. Remember the whole Asmongold thing, Joe Leonard, all that. So that was like fire. Okay, so they're like, we just hired this new animator. Things are going great. I think they just found out and realized how much work is going to go into the animations and models, and so they need to hire more of that.
Yeah, they can't just. I do think it's just their intention. To make the game maybe even a little more polished, but I really go back to my point, Militus. I think that they're starting to feel as if they've got a little bit of gold there, and now they're looking at it saying, we want to make it more polished, more finished, better than maybe we originally intended. And I think it's because maybe they feel like the audience could be a little larger than maybe originally thought.
Yeah, I guess my thing is, you got to just keep things in perspective, right?
It's
you
true.
Gotta keep it 100. You got to keep it real, and let's keep it real for a second. Active monthly engaged users, Fortnite, 100 million. Okay, that's like 8 times WoW in its pinnacle. Okay, that was 10 years ago. I'm just keeping it real, guys. That was 2008. What has happened since that time, if we're keeping it real, is mobile gaming has ballooned, and Battle Royale and MOBAs have MOBAs first, Battle Royale after that. We are in the minority now.
For sure.
I mean, that's a reality I think we all should just wrap our brains around.
Right.
And I pray that the leadership at Visionary Realms embraces this idea that you can be great and successful with a niche, small audience who loves you and backs you. Like, let me give you a perfect example of this. If Brad McQuaid came out tomorrow and said this on Twitter, if he came out tomorrow and said, here's the thing, we're looking at funding, we're looking at like what we're going to need to keep the game going forward. And here's what we've come up with our cost analysis. $15 a month is not enough. Milla, is 20 enough? Because I'm willing to go there.
Right.
Is 25 enough? Because gamers have kind of grown up. Like we've gotten older, we got more disposable income. So I'm begging you guys, please don't. And you said you wouldn't, Brad. You said that, and that's great. I really hope you guys stick to this. But before they would go to a publisher like NCSoft, I would hope, I would love it if they would give us the opportunity to try to fill whatever gaps, because I don't know that this is going to be a project, right? That's going to be the big Fortnite, blow it up, make trillions of dollars.
No.
It's not. So it's going to be niche. And so I would say lean on really wants to keep those values there rather than going to someone who could possibly compromise those values. Right. So anyways, that's my whole take on it, my thought about it. I'm sure it's not a popular opinion, but it's mine.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about the time frame? I know that had a few people worked up, because I know that the game. I mean, Fragile, you've been following this game for 2 years now, and here we are. We're sitting here 2 years later, and now it's there's really not a lot of time frame, not a lot of information. What do you feel about that?
Well, I'm going fishing.
You're going fishing, huh?
No, seriously, the newsletter and actually in our Discord chat, Militus said it really well, that there wasn't any sort of timeline, PA5, nothing in it, and that was really disheartening. And that's, the newsletter was great, because the Q&A was awesome, the thing about the climate was awesome, but it was really just overshadowed. But there's zero about timeline. We have no idea. We're just waiting. We've been waiting since December for any sort of date, just a little date. And actually, I thought today when I was sitting on the couch watching TV with my wife, I was like, man, the Domino's, when you order a pizza, they give you that little delivery arrow that pops up. Yes. Why can't we have that for Pantheon, man? It can go back and go forward, but give us something.
Yeah. It is kind of hard. I was thinking about this because we had this thing in the gaming industry here recently where the Apex game just launched one day. They didn't give any warning, and they just said, "Hello, everybody, we're Apex," and everybody didn't even have time to like kind of think about it. They all just downloaded it and played it. There was no like, let me see if I would like this game before I download. It was just like, I'm gonna roll with it. And part of that, I was looking at the there's a Ascent Infinite Realm. It's an MMO by the same company that does Terra and I think PUBG. And I was looking at that the other day, and I go into the thing, and I'm looking at it online, and it is just nonstop people bashing on it. Like, this game hasn't even come out. Nobody's actually played it yet. Everybody has already formulated the opinion that it sucks. I mean, they haven't even, it's not in beta, it's not in alpha. Nobody's playing this game, and everybody online is just like, this thing sucks, this thing sucks, this thing sucks. Now, Apex... they came out and they said that part of their marketing strategy was this. They said, we're going into an industry where there's already a couple games like it. We don't necessarily, we're just now part of EA. There's all these strikes against them, and they didn't want the internet trolls to sort of come in and take over the publicity of the game. And I'm wondering if maybe that has made some people at Pantheon maybe a little shy to this, Visionary Realms has got to be looking at this stuff going, maybe we're a little gun shy to just go ahead and toss out more stuff about our game because the internet just sort of craps on everything right now. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but it's kind of like if they put this out in alpha, everybody is just going to play it and tell everybody how much they hate it. But it's alpha. It's not even a finished product yet. You're not even playing the real thing yet. And I don't, that scares me for this game because that scares me about every game right now.
Well, I would say that I'm just making sure that my fire alarm stopped going off. Okay. I would say that I also agree with that it's not just the alpha stuff that I'm worried about. It's when something actually gets hardcore released, the first thing that people like to say is, well, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
It's not like, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't like that this class did this. I didn't like that this, okay. Don't ruin it for other people. On Critical Role, they had a great term, and I got a T-shirt of it, and I'll wear it next week if it's clean and not in the laundry. So it says, "Your fun is wrong," right. And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
It's not fair to say that somebody else's fun is wrong. If somebody else if you don't like it, fine, don't play it.
Yeah.
But if somebody else likes it, don't berate them for enjoying this play style.
So, mentioned this. Yeah, go ahead, Mill. Go ahead. Okay. Fragile.
All right. Well, he said, that he gets all these emails and messages on Facebook, Twitter, everything about how positive everything has been. And I think they're like too worried about the naysayers, really. I mean, if they put out a timeline and said, this is our goal, and then something comes up, I think he should be able to go back and say, hey, actually, this just happened. It's going to delay us till then. Here's our new target date. I think if he has that discussion with the community, that helps the community versus just keeping the door shut.
Do you think it's from the crowdfunding nature of this, though, that has them scared to do that?
I think that's part of it. I think the crowdfunding nature is because they have to be the decisions that have implications carry greater weight with a crowdfunded game, right? You can make some veers off the tracks if you're backed by a big AAA company and still recover because you have the money to recover. You make those same mistakes in a crowdfunding game and things go really sideways. I want to talk about something Fragile brought up earlier. I've been thinking about this a long time, and this kind of ties into what I'm going to mention in the community love section. Basgrim did a video talking about alpha where he actually reached out to devs and got some actual information from Ben Dean about alpha.
Yeah.
And I watched the video, and I've only been in the Pantheon community just a few months, so I'm new. So don't crucify me for all those who've been here for a long time. Apparently there was a shift, right? So Brad McQuaid at PAX East last year said, hey, we'll be in alpha by the end of the year. Well, now 2019. So we're not in alpha. We're not even pre-alpha 5. But then in the August newsletter, Basgrim brought this up where they had this kind of shift, right? They had this shift where they said, oh, we got to tap the brakes a little bit. We're going to be in pre-alpha a bit longer. Don't expect alpha this year. I'm going to piggyback on what Fragile said. Here's my hypothesis. Pure speculation, no substance, just my anecdotal observations as a gamer. We started this podcast. We have had other podcasts, and we have always put them out on iTunes and Stitcher and all these things, right? And when we started this podcast, I said to Boom and Tess, hey guys, we need to go to Twitch, because if you look at Visionary Realms, they're really pushing Twitch hard. And like all the streams they've been doing it with Twitch. And I didn't think about it until Boom actually started sharing some of the numbers from our viewers. And I'm like, oh my God, the game has changed. Like 5-6 years ago, you would put a podcast out on iTunes and you would get huge downloads, right? You would get huge downloads, thousands of downloads. And now things are different. Twitch views and consumption it's a massive portion of the way content is consumed, along with YouTube. And so here's my point. I think about mid last year, they went, hold on a second. Crowdfunding games, if we make one misstep, if someone says our graphics sucks and I don't want to go down this road, there's a major influence on Twitch who was mentioned by Fragile earlier, and I'm not going to mention him by name, but who comes straight out and he's got a massive influence. Let's just say this.
Right.
He came out and said it. He came out and said it about Pantheon. And I think that causes great trepidation by people like Brad McQuaid.
Right.
I think that causes people like Ben Dean and these people that are highly invested in this project, that have limited funds, crowdsource game, for them to go, whoa. This dude or girl, whoever, this influencer could wreck our game. Yeah. They could completely wreck our game because they have that level of influence. And that, on one hand, man, I got to admit to you guys, that both angers me and it saddens me, right? Because I don't like to see people like that win. I just don't. It doesn't fit my personality, the way I think about life. But the reality is, people like that get in the chats talking about this. They get shit tons of views. Yeah. And shit tons of views equals, for some people, reality of what the game is. Mm-hmm. So if they come out and say, because it launches in pre-alpha, let's say it launches alpha, right, Fragile? It comes out alpha like we were thinking, and all of a sudden the graphics aren't as polished and the animations are not as polished. And that you and I, we don't give a rat's ass. We're just like, this game is awesome. This is awesome. But you know how many views I get on Twitch? Little. You know how many people like you just mentioned get on Twitch? Ass tons of views. And so all of a sudden that person says the game sucks because he doesn't or she doesn't like the animations or the graphics. And all of a sudden now the game starts to lose momentum, and maybe people pull and they don't back it, or people don't buy it. And that's unfortunately, that's like a real phenomenon that I think we all, as supporters of Pantheon, have to like wrap our brains around at this point. I mean, it sucks, but it's like a real thing that we really have to think about.
And sorry for the tangent. No. That is, I just want to tack on to that. So today I'm listening to a podcast, a gaming podcast, a very famous one. And the podcaster says, and he was talking about the game Crackdown 3, which has not gotten great reviews. And he says about Crackdown 3, he goes, I have not played it, but I've read that most people don't like it, so you should probably stay away from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here's a person who's never played the game, who I listen to because I'm hoping to hear what they think of actually playing the game, but he never played it. He just listened to other influencers that told him it wasn't any good. And then he went to having a big audience himself, said, nobody should play this game. Right. And I don't think that's fair, because on the other side of this, there's a mess of people that are actually enjoying that game. So it is somebody's fun. And there's a lot of them that are actually loving it and having a great time. But the influencers crushed that thing before it even got going. They said, do not play this game. You will play Apex. And guess what? Everybody is following and doing exactly that. Now, Apex is a tremendous game. I played it. It's awesome. But I've also played Crackdown 3, and it was like, yeah, it's got its problems. It was a good game, right? So it's just this weird climate we're in right now where it's so dang hard to put something out
people
there.
Like Fragile, and I'm with you, Fragile. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, man. When I opened the newsletter today, okay, I went silent for a while. I wasn't mad.
No.
But I was a little heartbroken. And I know a lot of people in the community felt like you, and they felt like me. And I just want to throw a shout out to all those people in the community. I know you feel that way. I feel that way. But here's what we have to think about. We are going to support this game no matter what. If the graphics don't look good, the animations look good, that's not going to matter to us. But we are a small percentage of the future player base of this game. And I don't want, just for me, like just for Brad to make Militus happy, I don't want to sacrifice the game's future success just to make me happy. Right. And I'm just speaking for me.
Right. It also comes back to who do they want playing the game? Do they want, the influence, so to speak, to play? Yeah. Or do they want us to play? Or they want both?
No, I'm not going to disagree with you. There's a fine line here. And listen, you're tingling my WildStar bones, brother, for a second. Because let me tell you something. I was in that community early on. I'm not sure if you ever met me back then or whatever, but I was one of the ones early on going, this is, let's go back to Pass. Okay, Pass and WildStar. Pass and WildStar at one point was like a major feature of the game. And I loved the shit out of it. The reason, it was based on Bartle's research, psychological research of like how you're to play an MMO. I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. This is great. This is awesome. But here's what happened, Fragile. Some people in the community were louder than I was. And they were like, Raid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they were having none of my path shit. They wanted and all of a sudden what you saw was this distinct change. I'll let you, I'm sorry, Tess. I just want to finish this thought. You saw this change from Carbine of like diversifying the game and really meeting that core philosophy to all of a sudden raids. It was just this immediate shift. Thank you for the sub.
Thank you for the sub.
Thank you. It was this immediate shift. And I'm like, hey, yo, me, what are you doing, Carbine? Just the past. I want to be a scientist. I like to collect shit. What about me? And they just kind of left me, man. And I'm gonna tell you something. I think what they're doing is it's a fine line, and you did a great job of articulating it, but I think what they're doing is they're shielding themselves from that kind of criticism by not opening the gates right now. Mm-hmm. You just keep it tight, keep it away, keep those big influencers, negative maybe influencers, out of that equation so that you don't squish us. You don't squish the fun out of it for us. That's what I want to caution everyone in the community to think about, man, because I've been on that side of it and it sucks. Mm-hmm. It sucks to have a game move in your direction and then you just get the shit squashed because someone loud on Twitch starts screaming they want hardcore this and hardcore that and screw everything else. Okay.
Well, but here's my point in that. It sucks. We all know it sucks. That is exactly what happens in every aspect of our society these days. Let's be honest. The loud, angry voice is elevated above any other voice, above the silent majority. So this is what I would like to say to all of the Pantheon passionate. Hashtag Pantheon passionate. Yes. I am using that hashtag from now on. Pantheon passionate. We have to be the loud voices. We have to spread joy. We have to say, this sounds so cool. You don't like it? I'm sorry that you don't like this. I think that this XYZ, all of these things sound cool. And when things get released on alpha and when things go to beta and when the game actually gets released, we have to combat that with positivity, those loud, angry voices. That's the only way that we can do this. We have to be positive about the things that we like, because, and this is what I do whenever I go to a restaurant, you guys. If anybody here has ever worked in food service.
Man, I'm glad I'm not Tess's waiter.
Well, no, but
Off Militus!
No, but I'm serious. If anybody here has ever been in food service, you know that a waiter always gets told all the crap that they do wrong.
Yeah, true.
And if they do something well, you never get that positive reinforcement. You only get told when something happens that you don't like. So I always make it my business whenever I go out to a restaurant and I have a great time, I call over the manager. And I say, you know what? Everything was great. The food was lovely. The service was wonderful. Atmosphere is great. I know you get told a billion times a day all of the things that went wrong. Here's the things that you did right. Nobody does that. We have to do that. We have to be positive. We have to tell things that we like and the things that are good. And hashtag Pantheon Passionate.
There you go.
Well,
Hashtag
to
Pantheon
piggyback
Passionate.
on that thought, you know, being louder, saying how much you like it. All of these guys are coming from the outside, just looking at it. I think one thing that could really benefit it, and this is what they've talked about, how they're making a great game. We think it's a great game. Everyone thinks it's a great game. Let them play it. Let them play the game and see how good it is.
Right.
Yeah, there's a risk in that. I'm with you. But there's a risk in that.
I just don't know that this game is going to live up to the Twitch culture, and I think that's the problem. And that's where the influencers, the Twitch influencers, are going to be a little bit of an issue, because they're going to say,
Boom,
this
you
isn't my
brought
game.
point earlier.
This is my dad's game.
But hey, that's what I say earlier. Lean on us.
Yeah, that is very much true. Lean on us.
And I'm talking even, again, I don't want to speak for the whole community because I can't financially. I can only speak to myself. But I just kind of reached a point in my life where I'm like, I've accepted the fact that the gaming industry has kind of left me behind. I'm not a Battle Royale fan. I'm not a Twitch gamer. I don't like a lot of the current games.
You're old, man.
I'm old. I know.
Man.
I get off my lawn. I get all that shit.
Right.
I accept it. But here's what else is kind of interesting about Omilla. At the age of 45, I make more money than I ever have in my entire life, too. Visionary Realms.
Yeah.
And
I make enough to have a Dell OptiPlex.
We have discretionary funds.
Yes.
Yeah, they're listening to Militus say that, and they're like, he's recording the stream on a Dell OptiPlex that he got out of a building in the back. Yeah,
Noah's got a GTX 1070.
Well, I mean, think about it. On a monthly basis, generally it's $15 a month. But if you want to go to the movies and you have popcorn, or if you're on a date or whatever, how expensive is that just for one night? When you have an MMO, man, you're paying that one price for the entire month, 24/7.
Fragile, listen, when I was going to back Pantheon, I hit up Boom. I'm like, Boom.
Well, and I said, what are you doing?
I'm nervous, man. I'm about to drop some serious cash on this game. I'm like, he's like, how much you going to drop? I'm like, I'm going to drop $250. And he's like, really? He's like, really, Militus? I'm like, yeah, dude, $250. He's like, when's the last time you taken your wife and kids out to the movies? I'm like, well, I don't know. He's like, you probably drop half that. Just take him to one movie.
I literally threatened
like,
Militus.
You're right.
I was like, maybe I need to call your wife.
but in the grand scheme of things,
in the grand scheme, yeah.
You guys are right. It's just like for the bang for the buck, it's
Yeah, and thanks to Pantheon Plus there for putting the specs of the Dell OptiPlex desktop into chat. And believe it or not, that is the exact model I have. He nailed like the 4 gig of RAM, the whole bit. It is all here. It says it's got the Windows 10 operating system, 250 gigabytes of hard drive space. That is indeed the hard drive that originally came with this thing. I upgraded that to a solid state. I did some tweaks just to get it to run, but yes, ladies and gentlemen,
you better get a kickback from Dell, man.
I know, right? I know, right?
You better get a
It's
Alienware.
Dell is not a what is the word?
Stiff podcast.
Yeah.
It was funny too, because this weekend I was at the Microsoft store and I was tweeting everybody and saying, "Hey, look, I'm at the Microsoft store," and everybody's like, "Oh, Boom is getting a new computer. Boom's getting a new computer." I bought the Xbox Elite controller.
Oh God. What?
Boomy.
Okay, hold on. That's
Here's the thing. I've
He's
got a
getting ready to
couple.
play Fortnite.
Yeah, I've got a couple years to wait before this game comes out, so I'm getting my Xbox out of my system, and then I'll get back into the PC gaming. But I'm kind of at that stage where I'm like, I don't want to drop a bunch of cash and then have, I don't really. There's no PC game right now that's really striking my fancy. So
He'll
you
wait
go.
for Pantheon to drop.
Yeah.
Alpha to drop.
Yep.
And then I know Boom, and I
Wildstar
know
drops.
that this will happen. Pantheon Alpha will drop, and Boom will literally build a brand new rig
That's
all around Pantheon. I know that for a fact.
When WildStar came out, that's what I did. I got a new computer for WildStar. Still some of the best days was the launch of that, and let me just tell you guys, you have something to look forward to if you've never been a part of a community like this that leads up to launch, because launch night is absolutely special. We'll get everybody together. We'll get everybody on one stream.
So
We'll
bad that
go
I don't have
crazy.
to work the next day.
It is.
Twitch
Oh, you
wasn't
don't
even as
work.
big of a thing back then.
No.
Can you imagine what it's gonna be like?
Yeah, and here's the thing. You get everybody together. Everybody's having a great time. Everybody's kind of just in that spirit and in that mood. And I think it's going to be very similar to Rockin' New Year's Eve in New York. I think it's almost going to be the exact same event. That's what I'm telling you. We might have
resurrect Clark.
Hey, I just want to toss this out there. Do we have the launch party in Las Vegas?
We're
Do we
having
do
a
that?
launch party.
Do we do that in Vegas? Do we rent a ballroom in Vegas, get everybody together, and have a launch party in Las Vegas? Yes. Do we do that? Does Boom need to organize the launch in Las
I've already
Vegas?
got
Am I calling it?
Linus is going to do it. He's going to host it for everybody. Yeah, because he started Pantheon Plus. I think his whole plan all along was to fly us all out to Vegas.
Yes.
All expenses paid, all the alcohol we could drink, all the
Yes.
food we could eat, because we're part of Pantheon Plus. Am I right, Mel?
Yeah. So how many
That's
people
what
are going to go?
plus means, right?
Yeah. Now, here's the way we
Thanks,
could do
Mike.
this. We could set up a GoFundMe at some point for this party. And we could, if the GoFundMe only gets like $300, we will have it in the really bad part of Las Vegas. Like the part that you are scared to
Where
go to.
you get
Yeah.
shanked, and there are
You could
hookers
get
on
shanked.
every.
You could get shanked. That's a possibility. We will have the event there. Now, if it gets to several $1,000,
That's just
we'll
a
bump it up.
role playing, man.
Yeah, it's just role playing. Yeah, exactly. Right? We just bump it up. So really what we'll do is we'll let the community decide what level of support we're going to do, right? Who knows? We can get, we can boost it. I think we need to do this. I think we need to have the launch party in Las Vegas.
Well, Nathan Napalm said, let's not cosplay if we're gonna go to the bad area. I'm like, come on, Nathan
Yeah.
Napalm.
You have to get weirder than the weird people, and then they'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
I want Tess like strumming her little guitar in like
with a ukulele, just skipping
Are there
down.
mailboxes to dance on?
I'm gonna wear one of those little thong bikinis that only covers my bits and has like the little strings.
I think we will scare away all the muggers. I'm just saying.
We have police department saying there's a bunch of mentally ill people walking down the street.
Yeah, there's a bunch of mentally ill people talking about Pantheon. They're thinking they're Greek. All right. All right, guys. Well, this music is only means one thing.
Yes.
It's time to get soft. Get soft with our community. What do we got today?
First up in our getting soft with the community is our very own Fragile. Fragile put out a leveling in Pantheon video, which I have linked in the show notes. Go check it out. Really cool, really good information. Nathan Napalm had, now I have to say 3 Nathan. Thanks, Nathan. I only had 2 in the show notes, but I have 2 in the show notes. He put out Why We Have to Wait for Alpha, which after reading today's newsletter, I think is a good watch for everyone in the community. So go check out Nathan's Why Wait for Alpha. He also created a video called Terminus and why Brad McQuaid and the team at VR has creative freedom. Just kind of creating the context and the planet the way they did. It's really good. Basgram, as I mentioned earlier, put out a talk with the devs about Alpha where he actually got emails from Ben Dean. So go check that out. He also put out a Baz Flash today. I didn't have a chance to put that in the show notes, but he put that out. Voices of Terminus last Friday. Boom and I jumped into their chat and got a little crazy. But they had on Joe Leonard and Beard Sage. So go watch that. They kind of profiled their background. It's pretty cool. Pantheon Plus versus Battle Axe Theater had Battle of the Tanks. I just got to say one thing though. I
wasn't there, so it wasn't a real battle.
I liked it.
Of the tanks. I'm teasing.
I just got to say to Punk and to Def, where's my blood? I wanted to.
Yeah, it's kind of like a circle jerk of tanks.
What do you say, Tess? What is
a circle jerk of tanks? Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Whew.
Yes.
So, Tess, would you like to tell our good friend Def, who's in chat tonight with us,
sure,
what makes the grass grow, Tess?
There's one thing that makes the grass grow, and that is blood.
There you go.
I'll cut that up from our old GW2 raid, and I'll post that.
Yes.
That was my battle cry. What makes the grass grow? Blood.
Right.
Chris Kane put out a First Wanderers video, and his narrations are amazing. Background music. Again, Chris Kane's amazing. Go give that a watch. And then all of the stuff I mentioned tonight, plus a lot more I probably left out, can be found at pantheon.plus, including our podcast. So go check them out, give them a follow, give them your support.
Amazing.
Yeah, they really are. We should add Pantheon Plus to our intro, because my first comment is, if you want to find us, go to our website. But honestly, the best place to follow any content released right now about Pantheon is to hit up pantheon.plus.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop, man.
That is your one-stop shop. Well, this sound means only one thing. We're getting ready to wrap it up. And as we... Wait, what happened? Oh, there we go. Dell, OptiPlex. As we wrap up the show... man, I tell you, amazingly enough, this has been better than intended. Thank you so much to everybody who has already supported us by giving us a follow on Twitch, and those of you that have given us a sub. We really, really appreciate that. We, as a podcast, we have some server fees, we have some things that we spend some cash on, and those subs help us a lot. OptiPlex maintenance
alone is
trust
costly.
me, I've done very little to that thing. Hey, this is not too bad for a free computer. Let's just talk about that. I'm such a cheapskate. All right,
where do I send my bill at?
Yeah, exactly. Where, do we have any shout outs that we'd like to give?
I have one. I have a shout out. I got in this last week. I got into a hardcore deep argument.
Okay.
You got into a hardcore
deep argument.
You got into a deep hardcore argument?
Yep.
Can it be deep with a 12-year-old?
I got into an argument with some people online.
Yes. Okay.
You guys are assholes, but I got into this argument, and what got me through was Jolly Roger on the Pantheon Plus Discord. He helped me out. He kept me sane. He kept encouraging me to spread the word. #Pantheon Passionate. So thank you, Jolly Roger. You were awesome. You lifted my heart this week. Thank you.
There's just so many great community members, isn't there? Militus, you got anything?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to everyone who is feeling a little sad tonight because they were hoping for pre-alpha 5 dates. I get you. I'm with you.
Right.
There's a lot
of those people.
Take solace in the fact that we have a great game. We have people passionate about developing it. And we have, beyond that even, an amazing community of people. So you can either get down about it or you can kind of lean on each other and move forward and look forward to the next great newsletter and all the great things we're going to learn. And that's the way I'm choosing to approach it. And I hope that's the way you will choose to approach it as well.
That's great. That's great.
Maybe it should be #Pantheon Positivity.
Maybe so.
That's a whole different thing. How about you, Fragile? What do you got for us? Any shout outs?
Yep. Shout out to Farhelm and Mog for coming tonight.
So
They're
awesome.
going to be in my guild in Pantheon.
So awesome.
Loot Insurance Guild. We're going to be hardcore, which is a little anti of the community, what it is right now. But yeah, so that's that. And then my next video that I'm working on is I'm going to kind of guess on Bard and Necro. So we're going to go
nice. Ooh, I can't wait to watch Bard.
Yes, I want to watch that as somebody who loves Necro. I would like to shout out to Fragile for not only being one of our first listeners and a supporter of the show, just an all-around good guy. We really appreciate having you on the show. We thank you so much for coming on here. We really do genuinely appreciate you. Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to give a shout out to my Terra Guild nipple protectors, all the nipple protectors out there in my Terra Guild. We're gonna crush it this week. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna bash some dungeons and kill some mobs and destroy some monsters. We're gonna earn some points for the nipple protectors.
Tape the nips before you go on the run.
That's right.
I just think of Janet Jackson from the Super Bowl, like that whole situation.
Yes, with Justin Timberlake, 100%.
Yeah, that's
put Boom's face on her body.
That's what we're all about.
That's what he looks like when he's rated.
Yep. And I need to shout out to Jeremy W. at Oak Productions. Thank you much for the music that you're hearing right now. And on that note, we are out.
The grass grow, Tess?
Blood and thunder.